Have Arsenal become a bit boring, a bit stale, a bit awful and horrible to watch? Have the dark arts taken over? We're not going to talk about dark arts anymore. I've heard more than enough of it.
Please.
But Kim, you were, let's say, not happy after the draw. Why were you not happy?
It's not that I wasn't happy. I think the reason I wasn't happy is because of the dark arts. But apparently we're not allowed to talk. Apparently we're not allowed to talk about the dark arts. No, I found Arsenal just intolerable to watch this season. Incredibly boring. And I understand. Obviously, you go down to 10 men at the Etihad. What else are you going to do? Of course, you're going to defend. But I mean, before that, there was no spells of free-flowing football. They didn't look particularly great. They scored a goal from 30 yards, which no one could have predicted. And by the way, have you ever in your life seen a referee move a player 40 metres and then let the opposition take a quick free kick before he can get back into place? I don't know how that goal was allowed, but it was anyway. And then they score a goal from a corner, again, where they've got 3 people on the goalkeeper. A dubious one. But there's no good football. Like the reason that I loved watching Arsenal last season, and I came on this many times to say it. They played that fast-flowing football. They were very exciting to watch. I thought they were probably the best team last year to watch, and I think they probably deserved to win the league. I don't know what's happened this season. I think one possible reason is they've had pretty tough fixtures and they've done what they needed to do. They've gone to Villa away, Spurs away, and City away, and they haven't lost. And Atalanta as well, who are a difficult team to face. Next few games easier. They've got 3 of the bottom 5, so that should be quite easy for them, and that obviously will be a test to see if they kind of change up and move back to their attacking style of play. But if you want to win the league and you're going that negative against Manchester City from minute 1, I don't think that's a particularly good sign. And as a fan, it's not the type of football I want to watch.
Nah, man. Like, the thing I don't get about this narrative of Arsenal being boring is that maybe from City fans' point of view, because you played against them, it's frustrating the way the game went and they kind of shut you down. But from a neutral fan point of view, like Maximus said in Gladiator, are you not entertained? That was probably the best game of the season. People talk about Arsenal being boring, but it had everything. It had drama, it had needle, it had spite, had a last-minute equaliser as well, and it had one of the goals of the season from Calafiori. So we could talk about Arsenal being boring, but it's not incumbent on them to entertain people. It's incumbent on them to pick up points and win the league. And so if you're neutral, I don't understand what more you want from this Arsenal side. Like you mentioned, Kim, they went away against Villa, won. Went away against Spurs, won. Atlanta got a draw, City got a draw. And I think Arteta is also a student of football. And he would have looked at Pep Guardiola's Achilles heel, and that is playing against 10 men. I look back to Inter Milan, Champions League semi-final 2010. Inter Milan took a 3-1 lead to Camp Nou. Thiago Motta gets sent off in the 30th minute, and then they defend for 60 minutes, Jose Mourinho's Inter side, and that's lauded as a masterclass. It took took Barca up until the 83rd minute, Gerard Piqué, to break them down. But after that, everybody lauded Mourinho for doing the job. Look at 2012 Champions League semi-final again, a Pep Guardiola side. Chelsea go to Camp Nou, get 10 men, John Terry gets sent off, and they still managed to do a job on them. So Pep Guardiola has always struggled against 10 men and a low block. And Arsenal did the job. And I don't understand where this narrative has come from that it's on Arsenal to entertain fans. They got a decent result. And if they held off for 30 seconds more, we're talking about an incredible masterclass from Mikel Arteta.
Do you think playing that manner of... I hear both arguments. Do you think playing that manner of football wins you league titles? Because I know you're going to say Jose Mourinho, and obviously we're used to Guardiola, and maybe Arteta is a hybrid of both, and I'm willing to hear that. But when I look at these stats, 41% average possession, 96 passes into the final third this season for use of any team, faced a total of 90 shots so far, the second most of any team, only taken 50 shots so far, the third least in the league. It's not a good sign.
Okay, so let's take into account that Rodri got injured, yeah? So that's affected people's view on the title race. But I don't think anyone left that game afterwards being like, oh, I don't think Arsenal could win the league off the back of that performance. I didn't anyway. I don't think most people did.
You did.
We thought the way that Arsenal played against City, you can't win the league.
I don't think that is a way that you can win the league. I think it's a way, every instance that you just mentioned there was in a Champions League or in knockout football. It works in knockout football. Over a 38-game season in the Premier League, it doesn't work. This whole dark arts and scoring goals from set pieces or scoring lucky goals, it will end eventually. You'll come up against a team who have bigger and stronger defenders than City do, and you won't be able to bully them from a corner.
So can I ask you a question? What team in the Premier League do you think that Arsenal can't beat playing this current style of football apart from Man City? City.
No, but they can beat anyone on their day, and anyone can beat anyone on their day in the Premier League. I just think, do you not think that in over a 38-game season, it's not a particularly tactical way to win a league? At the moment, anyway, it might have worked okay with Mourinho when football was a little bit different. It was a lot more about defending and then counter-attacking. Now it's very possession-based. If they just don't have possession for the vast majority of the game and can't score from a set piece or can't score from a free kick, how are they going to get a goal?
I don't look at possession stats though, because everybody looked at the Chelsea game against West Ham last weekend and said that's a really great performance. Chelsea had less possession than West Ham over the course of that game. You wouldn't notice it because Chelsea controlled it. There are ways of controlling games without dominating possession, and that's what Arsenal will be really good at.
But they didn't control that game at any point at the Etihad. They didn't control the game.
No, they didn't control the game against Man City. The circumstances didn't allow it. No one goes to the Etihad and controls the game.
But they didn't control the game at Villa Park either. If it wasn't for a mistake from Emilio Martinez and a few missed chances from Ollie Watkins, they wouldn't have won that game.
But they did win that game.
So I think, honestly, I hear both arguments. So I think you can win a league still playing somewhat pragmatic football. The only issue I have with it is, can they adapt in games where they have to be attacking? So when I watched the Atalanta game, they were scared of Atalanta as well. And that for me, as a fan, and maybe this is Liverpool and Klopp speaking, but I'm going, if you want to win the league title, you got to dance with the baddest teams out there. And if you want to win competitions, you got to take it to every team. But if you go up against Villa and go, Watkins, we gave him a few chances. David Raya made a ridiculous save. And in my opinion, he's made a few too many to make that a thing that they can continue. And there's a few too many goals from corners where, their set piece goals is a joke. But I kind of agree with Kim that unless they go and start blowing a few teams away, just not like winning 4-0, just playing crispy football, I'm going, this is not, you can't live off this.
The thing is, it's also very early to say, isn't it? We've just talked about who they've played against.
And they also had 10 men in 2 games.
Exactly. They've had 4 incredibly difficult games, including the Champions League game. They've got 3 pretty relatively easy games now. There's no way that we can sit here and say they're not going to beat them 5-0, 4-0 and 3-0. They possibly will. And I guess if they do, and Arteta shows that he's still got that string to his bow that he had last season, and he's got this sort of defensive, dark art style of play, which is working against the big teams, working away from home, if they can show that they can do both at the same time, they are obviously a real problem.
We referenced the Mourinho side, and I know that's 20 years ago. Let's not talk about the 04-05 or 05-06 side. Let's just look at the Mourinho side 14-15. That side who won the title, pragmatic football, didn't dominate possession. Look at the Conte side that won the title in 16-17, pragmatic, didn't dominate football. Even the Leicester side who won it, I know it's 5,000-1, didn't dominate the ball. It's City and Liverpool in recent years that have spoiled us in the Premier League in terms of this free-flowing attacking football, especially when they play against each other. But to win Premier Leagues, you need to have a strong defence. And they say attackers win games and defence wins championships. And I think that's what Arteta's building this model on.